Cheers! Trump's going to prison.
No, he's not.
All right. I'm glad you joined us. Thank you. Welcome back to the bar. And we're going to talk about if Trump's going to prison and if he can win the presidency with 4 indictments under his belt. Come on back and let's find out. All right, John, you don't think he's going to prison?
I don't think so. I think he's got a lot of motions that he and all the others, I mean, especially for this Atlanta case or the Fulton County case.
Right.
I think it's a very weak case, right?
Does he have any cases that are good against him? No, I mean, like strong cases against him.
The Mar-a-Lago case would be the only one that's actually possibly worth something, except you've got...
You talking about the documents?
Yeah, the documents case. But you've got the sitting president right now who actually did far worse.
Right.
Yeah.
So how can you charge Donald Trump?
Plus, they didn't charge Hillary for exactly the same thing.
Yes, because no reasonable prosecutor.
Right. So let's break down the indictments. And if you were sitting under the rock for the last 5 months, former President Donald Trump has been indicted 4 times. Has it reached 100 charges or like 90?
I think it's 91 or something like that.
It's in the 90s. And I think if he's convicted on every charge, it's like 100 years or something. So an indictment is brought to you by a prosecutor, and it's covered in the Fifth Amendment. I don't want to get too nerdy on you, but grand juries see capital cases and infamous cases. And obviously, if you're going to try to put a former president in prison, you have to go through the indictment system. And we'll look at the first one. The first one is out of the city of New York, and it has to do with campaign finance laws.
Which the state of New York or the District of New York, Alvin Bragg, has 0 jurisdiction.
Not only that, isn't it the what do you call it? The statute of limitation has run out, so that's how he had to like finagle it into a federal crime or something.
Well, he based it. The statute of limitations. It's actually based on false business records, which would be one thing if it was a publicly traded company.
Right.
It's a privately held company. Therefore, he can keep whatever records he wants. He doesn't have to keep any records.
So what he did, this is what he did. He had an affair with a porn star.
Allegedly
had an affair with a porn star, Stormy Daniels, and to keep her quiet, he paid her off.
No, he did not. Michael Cohen paid her off.
So his attorney
with Trump's
paid
money.
him off with campaign money.
Actually, well, no. Michael Cohen paid off Stormy Daniels.
Yes, so that she would be quiet because he was running for president.
Right. Whether it's true or not, it's irrelevant.
Correct. That has nothing to do with the crime at all.
Right. But Donald Trump reimbursed Michael Cohen with company funds and writing it off.
Company funds or campaign funds?
Company funds.
So Trump Incorporated.
Yes.
Trump Inc.
Right.
Okay.
Reimbursed Cohen with company funds.
So where's the crime in that?
Okay,
well, that's what we're saying.
What the crime is that because he was planning to run for office, that would be an illegal contribution.
Right, so he should have, according to what Alvin Bragg, our lovely, illustrious DA of Manhattan, is saying that he should have used campaign funds because it's a campaign-related incident. If you are trying to keep somebody quiet and not rat you out that you've been, lecherous, then you pay out of campaign funds.
Is there any other reason why someone would want to keep an affair quiet?
No, that's why. But I'm just saying.
No. Is there any other reason?
I'm sure there's probably other reasons. You not only to campaign, you don't want your wife to find out, your kids to find out.
So it could be something other than the election.
That could be. Now this is probably, I would venture, the weakest of the cases.
Yes.
John?
I agree.
Bottom of the barrel?
Yeah. Ronnie, what do you think?
I agree. 100%.
Yeah. So Alvin,
I think it's all bullshit myself, but
It's all political.
all these attorneys, all these district attorneys are trying to make a name for themselves, be the star, the darling of the Democrat Party, the one to put Donald Trump's scalp on the wall.
But the craziest thing is, all of these cases are attorneys who are using novel or original interpretations of the law.
Right.
So they're literally twisting the law in ways it's never been twisted before and saying he's dead to rights.
Right. So is it easy to indict somebody essentially?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just the prosecution bringing the state
Right.
or the charges, and depending on the jurisdiction, especially in New York
Or DC,
or DC,
where the Fulton case, or no, the Mar-a-Lago case was actually, that's where the grand jury was in violation of federal law.
right? Yeah. So essentially, the prosecutor, what they do in an indictment and a grand jury is
They
The
give all their
prosecution-
evidence that they want to give.
right. They and it's funny because I just went over the Fifth Amendment and explained it to a grand jury to my students this week. They present all of the case, all of the information. For those of you who don't know what an indictment in a grand jury, it's not a jury that decides guilt or innocent. It's a jury that decides if the case is good enough to go to trial. And when the jury says yes or no, or yes, that's called an indictment. It's not a conviction. It's nothing along those lines. And the prosecutors have to go through the grand jury process when it's a large scale, infamous crime like this. So they indict this individual, and it's the prosecution, just the prosecution side. There's no defense witnesses.
Presents only the evidence that they want to present.
Right.
They don't have to present any exculpatory evidence or evidence that would prove that it didn't happen or there's a defense to it.
So it's all one-sided, and the grand jury is going to say, "Yep, that's good enough for me."
Right.
So let's go ahead and take a break. John, you brought us a beer today.
All right. Yeah. What happened was I was up in Virginia last week, and there happened to be
Virginia's for lovers. Did you know that?
Yeah. So there was a brewery right next to the hotel called the Dancing Kilt Brewery.
That sounds
And
awesome.
we went over there and tried it, had a great lunch.
Did you wear your kilt?
I did not because I didn't have it with me. I had no idea it was going to be there.
Was it lost on an airplane?
No,
Just checking.
still in my closet.
You have a habit of losing
Did
things
you
on
have
airplanes.
carry-on? Did you drive or you fly to
We
Virginia?
drove.
Okay.
Phew,
All right,
thank
so
God.
this is the Headless Horseman Oktoberfest Lager from the Dancing Kilt Brewery, located at 12912 Old Stage Road in Chester, Virginia.
All right, this is a beautiful looking beer. I love
It
this
is.
amber color. It's amazing. That's not it, John.
That's right. This is it. I was wondering how it kept going down.
That's what happens when you have too many beers on the
Oh,
table.
stop.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
I like it. That's a nice amber Oktoberfest beer.
Yeah.
I'm going to give that an 8.
Kind of reminds me of almost like a black and tan.
Yeah.
Almost,
Yeah.
that darker lager. Yeah, I'm going to give it also an 8. I like it.
I'm going to give it an 8.1.
There you go.
All right, there you go.
While
There
we
you
have
go.
beers out, we're going to honor our lost brothers and sisters in arms. Our police officers, we're at 75 right now who've passed in the line of duty. So we're gonna toast to you, and we salute you.
Salute,
Rest in peace.
brothers and sisters. God bless you and your families. Can't imagine what you guys are all going through still. And not just this year, all of the families who have lost a loved one.
Yeah, when
Our servicemen and our ladies and gentlemen.
Second responders.
second
ladies
responders,
and
even them.
gentlemen in blue, tan, green, whatever color they're wearing in
Right.
uniform. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
All right, so the DA in New York brought the first one. It was like earth-shattering. Oh my God, we've indicted a former president of the United States. It's never unheard of.
There's a ghost in here.
I know. I was
You
pointing
see
at that
that?
earlier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it just
just
slides
went
on
all the way
the.
across.
Oh, the other one's moving now. Oh, just stop. So.
That's the ghost of John's bar. There it goes. There it goes.
He's pissed that it's empty.
Use the force.
That's Trump, man. He's giving us the force.
All right, and so the next indictment was it the
That's the federal charge. It was the Mar-a-Lago first.
document case.
Document case.
So, why don't you tell us about that one, John?
Well, and we actually did a whole show on this the first time when he was indicted for the documents. The problem with it is the allegation is the archivist for the federal government said, we want all these documents back that Donald Trump took into his possession.
And the thing is, Donald Trump loves things. He loves notes. He loves this stuff. And he's like,
Right.
I'm president. I'm going to keep this.
Right. Okay, now the Presidential Records Act states that all records created during your presidency is property of the federal government.
US government, yes.
And they should be turned over to the archivist. Well, Donald Trump, much like his predecessors, Barack Obama, George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, and
All
Bill
the way
Clinton.
back to George Washington, probably.
Well, the Presidential Records Act only went into effect, I believe
After
it was
Nixon?
after Nixon.
Okay.
Okay. Well, the problem is they actually they sued Bill Clinton to get some of his presidential records back.
Right.
And he successfully beat them. And
He was able to argue that that was personal and shouldn't be governmental property.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so the Supreme Court said we're good, or at least the federal court. I'm not sure if it went all the way to the Supreme Court. So anyway, there's case law that says the president gets to make the call, whether it's personal or government
President
property.
has all-encompassing rule on this.
Right now, part of it is they say, well, some of it was classified information. The president, as president, has the right to declassify anything.
And there's no procedure for that. He can say everything in my administration as of right now is declassified, right?
And he actually said everything dealing with the Operation Hurricane
Okay.
was declassified.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to go through
He
any
doesn't have
proper
to send an
channels.
email. He doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to get approval. He doesn't. There's
He
no.
just has to say it.
You just make a decision.
Right.
I declassify this. That was how come. Like when he was first in, they said that he told a foreign head of state classified information. Oh my God, this is such a scandal.
He can do it
He can do it.
by just saying it out loud. That's him declassifying it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really hold water. And
Well,
he was
let me
president.
ask you this: so how does the government get around that? Are they going to say, well, you didn't say all this was classified? It's tough to prove that, though, right? Would you have a witness? You would have to put him on the stand and get him to say, no, I didn't declassify everything.
Well, I mean, it is a huge obstacle.
Right.
Part of the problem is he said he didn't have anything else at Mar-a-Lago.
Even though it's a witch hunt, in his words, in his vernacular, he made it easy for them.
Right.
He didn't, he should have probably complied, or he should have, unfortunately.
Well, he
Trump-
should have said no.
Right,
He shouldn't have said, I don't have anything else.
right. Yeah. So they executed a search warrant on his place in Mar-a-Lago, and they found.
But they still have not executed a search warrant on the Biden Center in University of
No,
Penn.
because they complied.
I'm gonna jump in here for a second. Complying and saying no and saying I didn't have them, whatever. Okay, I think he screwed up there. But how about all the files that were under the Corvette or whatever in Biden's garage and everything? Why isn't there any indictments over him having those documents in his garage?
Well, that's still under investigation, and that's going to be
and
under
will be.
investigation for another 12 years.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. You see how fast this one took? Right about the time Trump announces or getting ready to announce, I'm running for president again. Oh, all of a sudden we have to do search warrants. We have to do this. It's
4
just-
indictments in 5 months.
It's just such bullshit, man. You can tell that the left is totally controlling everything that happens here, and the media is jumping right on the bandwagon with them, and that's why we're here today, is to kind of give both sides. Obviously, you can tell John and I are Republican, pro-Trump, but it just aggravates the shit out of me where both sides don't play at equal ground.
No, of course not.
Well, I mean,
it's a dual justice system, but and on what LT was saying, this first episode is kind of breaking down the legal troubles, and then we're going to talk about in our next episode the ramification. Does it help or does it hurt Trump?
Okay.
So I'm with you. I think it's bullshit, but I think it's done on purpose because they want him to be the nominee. But we'll talk about that later. So yeah, there was also right after they executed a search warrant at Mar-a-Lago, they found all these classified documents at Biden's place, several different places.
Right.
Yeah.
From when he was senator.
Right.
And he had no authority to take them.
Exactly. Yeah. So the third
Indictment was for
by Jack
January
Smith.
6th.
So if you all know, unless you just were born a year ago, on January 6th, there
Mostly
was
peaceful protests.
mostly peaceful, unlike all the cities burning throughout the Midwest.
Hey, I saw a thing, just to interrupt you real
Sure.
quick. I saw a thing yesterday on I forget exactly where it was, YouTube or something, but one of the hosts, one of the hosts said, by the way, hit that like and subscribe button. We really appreciate it. If you like our content, let us know. Comment below. We really appreciate it. But hit that subscribe. We really appreciate it.
And if we get 500 subscriptions, we're going to crack open that bottle of Jack.
Ooh.
That's they only make 100 every year. Can only be bought at the Jack Daniels factory.
All right.
So at
Nice.
500 subscriptions.
Come on, guys. We're dying to taste this damn thing. We need 500. Share it with your buddies, friends, whatever. We appreciate it.
Definitely.
But I was watching this guy, and he was going over the January 6th thing, and it was funny. He goes, okay, let's watch this. And all the commentary from the, I think it was CNN, imagine that. And they were saying, oh my God, this is terrible. Look at these people. They're all, and then he said, now let's watch it without any commentary whatsoever. And he turned the sound off from the news analyst or news reporter. And it just looked like a bunch of people standing at the Capitol building, just standing there waving flags and just, being peaceful and not causing any problems. Then he did the same thing inside the rotunda. And he said, oh my God, this is terrible. They're taking over the blah, 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 blah. And then he said, okay, now let's play it without the sound. And it just showed everybody with their flags walking through the rotunda in the line. One guy crossed over the line because he was filming, but everybody was just walking through the line. It was like, no big deal. Who cares? Nothing big.
Yeah.
I know what happened afterwards was a little bit nuts.
Yeah, it wasn't just a tour group going through the Capitol. Let's not paint it in that light.
No, but what his point was is when it was extremely peaceful and nothing really going on, they were just, oh my God. It's anarchy. That's what she said. She said, it's complete anarchy inside the rotunda. And you look and it's like, what? There's just people walking through there. What the hell?
Yeah, for the most part, this was nothing compared to all the burning buildings and all that. Now, it was not, like I said, it wasn't a tour group going through the Capitol. It was a riot. It was against the law, and people should have been prosecuted for that, and I have no problem with that. Properly charged.
If they violated the law.
But the Jack Smith special counsel indicted former President Trump for charges on that. And what I think was interesting is he did not indict him for incitement of a riot.
Right.
Because he didn't incite the riot.
Right.
And
there is patently clear evidence that he did not incite the riot.
Go peacefully in protest, which is our First Amendment right.
But that's what a lot of the newscasters are saying, is that his comments and the way he did it and said, we're going to march down there, blah, blah. that he incited a riot.
You can't judge somebody on somebody
agree.
else's interpretation of what
I
somebody
totally
says.
agree. I'm
But
just
that's
saying
not how we
this
work
is-
nowadays.
Right,
This
that's
is how
exactly.
the media spins this shit and gets everybody, oh, he incited a riot. Trump incited a riot, because they only hear what they want to hear.
But they didn't charge him with incitement.
Right.
Yeah, they
Because they can't
what were the
prove that.
charges?
No charge.
I don't. There was a couple of charges, but it's like violation of. It's like a statute from the Civil War. It's really if you
Yes.
wanted to do it
Attempting
incitement,
to,
but you didn't.
it was basically preventing people from exercising their civil rights by denying their vote.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Again, a lot of this just has to do with you have to accept their premise of the situation. Okay? Now, in my opinion, in all of these cases, other than, well, not the Mar-a-Lago case or the New York case, because they don't have to do with saying the election was stolen.
Right.
I mean, Georgia, I would just walk in there with,
Well, let's move on to Georgia. What are he just turned himself in yesterday, and I'm going to show the picture of his mugshot, or we're going to show his picture of the mugshot in this video.
is that available? Has anyone seen that?
It will be the
I'm kidding.
The
It's all over the place.
It
I was
will
gonna
be
say, I just saw it this morning.
the most viewed picture of all times.
No kidding.
So
Hey,
what
you know
happened?
what else I thought was funny? Is during the Republican debate,
Yeah.
they had X number of views, and Trump's
Picture?
Twitter interview with the one reporter
Yeah.
had like 20 or 30 times the number of views.
Yeah, but on Twitter,
his interview.
if on Twitter, if you
just have to
if you're on
click
there
for a
for 2
minute.
seconds,
Yeah.
it counts you as a view. So I
Just
mean,
say.
yeah. Anyway, so in Georgia, he was indicted again.
He and
for-
18 other people,
Right.
and
And this was a unique charge, actually. I think.
yes, well, they all are.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
but this one is, I think, the flimsiest, maybe more than New York.
I think that New York is flimsier, but that's fine.
Here's why. Okay,
More flimsy.
More flimsier.
the issue is they decided to go with a RICO Act.
Right. And what does RICO stand for, John? Racketeering, Influence, Corrupt Organization.
Correct.
And it was.
That's what I was just gonna say.
He gave you a lot of time to come up with that answer.
Well, you were
didn't
too slow. I'm just saying.
So anyway,
All amped up.
okay, because
he? He's showing off to his students.
honestly, all of these matters that he and the 18 others that are being charged, none of these things occurred in Fulton County.
And even if they did, RICO, you have to have an original crime. So a RICO statute was developed by the FBI in the 1970s to go after mob bosses.
Right.
So let's say LT's our mob boss, and
Yeah, baby.
we're into dope, and we're into prostitution, and we're into protection rackets and all this kind of stuff. And Ronnie says, you know what? This guy over here has really been a pain in the ass. I'd like this guy whacked. And somebody in his organization whacks him. All right? The thing is, we're in a criminal organization. So what the feds did is they came up with a statute that everybody can be charged, even if not everybody does the act.
Right.
LT will get charged for all of the stuff that his henchmen do.
Instead of charging everybody with conspiracy
Right.
and all that, they just rolled it into one big statute, which is the RICO statute.
Right.
Right.
And the good thing about it, and the easy thing about it, is they're going after criminal enterprises. Enterprises that are already engaged in criminal activity, criminality, the
Well,
crime.
that's Trump.
And so what the Georgia DA is trying to do is use a RICO Act for the First Amendment,
Right.
Right.
which is not a violation.
No, it's not.
But all he has to do, in my opinion, and I'm not a lawyer, and I don't play one on TV either, but I think all he has to
tells
do,
his wife he is.
I think all he has to do is go in there with proof of one case of fraud in Georgia,
Right.
One case of voter fraud.
Yeah.
And we all know that there is voter fraud out there.
So they're saying that his denial, and correct me if I'm if I'm wrong. They're saying that his denial, his saying that there's fraud, that's the crime.
Right. So all he has to do is prove one case of fraud and say, all I asked, people to do was find all the incidents of fraud.
Right. Let's clean this system up.
Right.
Right.
And going back to the January 6th matter, the whole premise on that one is the fact that, well, he's telling a lie because he said the election was stolen, and it wasn't. He could probably find easily at least 1 million people who would say there was at least a problem with the election where it possibly could have been stolen. Get 1 million people, put them on the witness list, and every one of them go in and testify, yes, I think the election was stolen, or I think there was fraud in the election that might have changed the matter. Right? The only way that the state could avoid that, could change that, would actually have to stipulate that you can provide 1 million people who are willing to say that they think. So you're saying this lie that 1 million people accept? Well, he knew it was wrong.
He didn't know it was wrong. Right. And the thing is, they're going on the fact that, well, his attorneys said he lost. That doesn't mean he believed he lost.
Right.
Well, what's funny is when one of the reporters pinned the press secretary down about her saying the exact same thing. It was either a gubernatorial race or a Senate race where she, in fact, said the race was stolen and there was fraud. And she started laughing and says, I knew you were going to bring that up.
It was probably when Trump won.
No. It was a gubernatorial race or a Senate race or whatever. And she, in fact, said it. And people in their house said it. And I'm like, okay, well, why aren't they being charged?
Right. Exactly.
And that's what the reporter asked is there going to be other charges for this comment that was made if you're saying that race was stolen? And she laughed and goes, oh, I knew you were going to say that. That was totally taken out of context.
Anyone who said Trump was not a legitimate president when he was elected president should be charged with the same crimes.
Absolutely.
Or at least put on the stand as a witness.
Right.
Yeah.
Hillary, you taking the stand?
Here's a video of you saying blah blah blah. Was this you? Oh yeah, I said that.
How is he not legitimately the president?
That's right.
Well, he didn't win the election.
That's right.
Oh, so you're denying it?
Exactly.
That's a criminal offense.
All right, guys. So we have discussed the legal issues that the president the former president, President Trump, is facing. But the most important issue that we have right now is who's wearing it better. My mustache is far more awesomer than John's mustache, and we all know that to be true. Yes, awesomer. So what I say a word? It is. Yes. I have a cigar bet against John.
He speaks better Englisher than I do.
There's Camille's.
Yeah, I'm going for. You know what? I was looking. It's almost like a Mark Twain.
Wilford Brimley.
Wilford Brimley. Yes.
Mark Twain.
There's John's.
Yeah. So I need you. We're voting and.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I forgot to transition.
Right.
My bad.
There's John's.
All right. There's John's.
All right. And so on September 1st is the
Wilford
end.
Brimley.
So right. we are.
Eat Quaker Oats.
The end of the bet is September 1st, and we are going to. I'm going to win a cigar. So comment down below who has the best mustache. Vote Camille, and I'll win a cigar. And while you're
Ronnie.
And Camille is spelled John.
All right, guys, we really
Spelling
appreciate you hanging in there. And next episode, which will be out pretty soon after this one, we're going to talk about the ramification, good, bad, or indifferent, as to what this does for Trump. Does it help him? Does it hurt him? And
guys, we really appreciate all of you watching the show. We've been getting a lot of comments and a lot of interaction. We really appreciate it. Our views are going up each episode. We really appreciate it, and thank you to each and every one of you that are out there and you're sharing it and you're watching it and you're commenting. It really keeps the show rolling. We really appreciate it because it's surviving the badge.
We still got your six.
Salute.
Salute.